Hello everybody. If you don't remember me, I am Jeffrey Davis. I'm a host of Radio Entrepreneurs, and welcome back. It's been a little bit of a break for me. Haven't been here for a while, but it's nice to see my team. Good guys, very good guys. And our next guest, our next entrepreneur, Michelle Klieger, is that correct? President and founder, Stratagerm Consulting.
Yep.
Great. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Stratagerm. I was thinking, when I first started to look at it, I started to remember that old strategy game that used to be football. That's the shaking boards from the 1960s. But you have to tell us about Stratagerm.
Sure. So it was actually a play on words, stratagem being, the advice, and but Stratagerm is a combination of like strategic or strategy, commonly, had to be in the title of every business school class, combined with germplasm or genetics. I came from the seed industry, and a lot of my business is working with indoor growers and teaching them about seeds. And so combining those two words to make Stratagerm was where we went, and the domain was available, so that's always a good one.
So give us an example of a typical client that you would be working with, and then what you would do with them.
Sure. So I actually help companies, food and agriculture companies, adjust to changing consumer demands as well as a very complicated supply chain. Right now that really focuses on two parts. One would be indoor agriculture. People are looking to get their produce much closer. Local is extremely possible. And so I help those indoor farms understand their seed needs better and pick varieties that will maximize their either output or profitability. And then the other side that I've been focusing on is policy. I came from DC before I moved to the Boston area last year. And so I do a lot of international trade and government policy work. So with tariffs and all of that going on right now, helping companies change their sourcing, figuring out how to avoid tariffs or avoid the impact of tariffs on their businesses.
Well, Michelle, it's very interesting. I'm sure we can talk about this forever, which we don't have time to do. But how did you get into all this? What's your background?
Yeah, I was actually pre-vet. I went to school to be a veterinarian, and I did an internship in Africa where I was a veterinary assistant, and I got to actually see firsthand the difference between science and conservation. It was one thing to put the injured animals back together and release them, but if they didn't have enough land for themselves, like a leopard, they were going to run into the farmers again, and then they, could be hunted or, injured, because of that interaction.
Right.
And so I became very interested in how we grow our food and making sure there was enough land for wildlife. So having agriculture be more productive.
So there was a balance there that you were looking for.
Yeah, I would never blame a farmer for, killing obviously an animal that was eating its food.
Crops.
Yeah.
Right.
Either killing the livestock or eating the food because they needed that for their families. And so that balance between conservation and food production is extremely important. And so I sort of shifted into agriculture trade and policy so that we, again, could grow more food on less land with less inputs.
Did you start with going back to school, or did you get a job with someone in particular that helped you to learn this area?
So I finished the undergrad in animal sciences. My parents were adamant about that. And then I started working for a consulting firm in DC. And then I spent 5 years at an agriculture trade association in DC, which is really where I got most of my experience, traveling the world talking about agriculture policy. And then I did a master's program with a master's in agriculture econ and an MBA, which I like to joke that I got all of those degrees on airplanes because it was a distance program and I did all my homework while I was on the road.
With jet lag.
With jet lag and time delay conference calls.
Right. Are there certain countries that concern you more than others about how they're sort of working in your area?
I mean, I would say that the biggest conversation right now is China for sure, especially with tariffs and that part of the conversation, but also, having 500 million people move into the middle class, and along with that comes demand for better food, higher protein, and so that is changing, the nature of our food system and where food is going. We also send a ton of food to China and Southeast Asia to be processed and then bring it back to the United States. So there's all of these complicated pieces that we have, and they're hard for consumers to understand.
So does that whole supply chain of material coming from here to China back to here, does that concern you? And why?
It does not concern me. I assume you're asking from a food safety perspective. Right. It doesn't concern me. I think that that I have a lot of trust in our Customs and Border Patrol and our food supply chain, with whether it's the FDA or just the amount of liability that stores, restaurants, and grocery stores carry, that making sure that they have a safe food supply. So if there was a processing concern, or if there was a bad fish or something, it would be immediately traced, and all of those players would then make the appropriate changes. So I mean, I do think that Chinese actually have a serious concern with their food safety, whether it's milk or other products. When I've actually traveled there, my friends and colleagues have asked me to bring baby food because they're concerned about the safety. But China wants to be a global player, and so making sure that your export partners are happy is critical, and what they do domestically is potentially a different story.
So give me a sense of when you started and why you started the business originally, and how you feel it's going right now.
Sure. So I started investigating this about last January of 2018, talking to people, especially in the vertical farming space, and learning what they did and didn't know about seeds. In August, my family moved to Natick, the Boston area, for family reasons, and so I got us settled, and then in October started full-time at this business. So it's very new. But I would actually say that it's going really well. My biggest goals, being speaking at a couple conventions and, having some clients, some of those basic goals that I had set for myself. I believe by the end of May, I'll have met my goals for the first year. So I'm definitely happy where things are, and maybe need to set better goals for next year. So.
Is it just you?
Yes.
Is that the way you want to keep it?
No. I don't know.
So give me a sense that's 2 years from now, and you're back on the show. What would you like the business to look like?
You can come back?
Yeah, you can come back. The fact that I come back is always amazing. That's always amazing to me also.
I mean, for one, I have been developing a lot of content, whether it's on LinkedIn or writing a publication, and so I would love to have people that actually are specialists in those areas take over a lot of that that work. I think that professionalizing that would be a lot for the brand, and continue to grow the brand. In 2 years, I would like to be a brand, so that's definitely on the list. And I mean, yeah, I want to continue to build where I think it's important as an entrepreneur to understand all pieces of the business, but as they mature, handing them over to specialists, and whether that is sort of part-time help or having someone fill in some of the project management for a couple of the programs I'm running would also be amazing.
Great. We've been speaking with Michelle Klieger, President and Founder of Stratagerm Consulting. Michelle, if someone was looking for you, how would they find you?
They can go to stratagerm.com, and there's a website, beautiful website there. Also, a lot of information on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn/IN/Michelle Klieger, and I am sure you will find me.
Great. Thanks for being on the show today. Hope you come back again.
Thank you for having me. It was
Great.
a pleasure.
Great. Thank you very much. Again, remind everybody this is Radio Entrepreneurs. Keep connecting with us on our website, on LinkedIn, on all social media, and we will keep you connected as well. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages on Radio Entrepreneurs.